Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
And we are back again bringing another episode to you guys. Heavy football talk this week. That's pretty much, with the exception of maybe a hot spot or two, that's pretty much going to be the entire focus for today's episode. We had a lot of college football happen, college football playoff, the New Year's Six bowl games, all the other bowl games. Those all came in college football, so we have some of those to talk about. Big week in the NFL for a lot of reasons. So we first want to just thoughts and prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family. Very scary scene on Monday night in Cincinnati. So, just hoping that he can recover, and hope everyone's in his family is doing the best they can and just trying to stay strong for him. So scary scene, not something you like to see, obviously. So thoughts and prayers to him and his family, but. We'll kind of kick off the show here with our hot spots. Nick, I know before the show you volunteered to go first, so we'll go ahead and hand it off to you to lead.
Yeah, Monday night, Cavs versus Bulls. Donovan Mitchell, 71 points. Most points in a game since Kobe put up 81 against the Jazz, which is impressive. People score a lot more, but I feel like there's a lot more spread out scoring in the NBA nowadays, to where it's scoring 71. The game did go into overtime, but
it was at 56, and then overtime happened. So, I think
he's one of the only ones that scored.
I did see a report that they said they should have called a lane violation.
Is what it is. You could probably, it's like holding in the NFL. You could call those kinds of penalties all the time. Fouls, if you will, for basketball purposes.
It's not a foul, it's just he stepped over the line. So the free throw should have been erased. Well, that he purposely missed and then put a layup in.
Yeah.
So that's a lot less. That's like the Saints-Rams pass interference.
Fair enough.
It wasn't called.
Fair enough.
That's that kind of call.
No, I get it, but
to be fair, you should never let that happen. You should box out the shooter.
Yeah, Bulls should have never been in that position.
Of the guy who's on the same side as the other guy, and then overtime, you just guard Donovan Mitchell. You don't let him put up 15 points in overtime.
Yeah, well, it happens. I was gonna mention. I don't know if this was legit or not, but it was like a tweet I saw from Robin Lopez's account. It said, "Unbelievable, Robin Lopez and Donovan Mitchell combined for 72 points," which I just thought was hilarious.
That's funny,
but it's true. I mean, it is true.
It's a real stat. He may have only put up 1 point. But.
Yeah, it reminds me. I saw this meme, and it was like, "You're telling me Julius Caesar, who's been dead for well over 70 years, is the creator of Caesar salad?" Which. No, he's not, but the dead for well over 70 years. Yes, that's true, but it just doesn't sound right.
Well, hold on. Well, yeah,
it's like
700 years.
You're correct, but wrong at the same time. It's yeah, but no, it was a hell of a performance. Bulls, once again, continuing to be a letdown. I know we talked about them a couple times on the show. Good friend Ryan, they were his hot spot, and nothing seems to have changed. They just continue to get.
Well, they beat the Bucks. They went on a 4-game win.
That's okay. Fair enough.
They lost to the Cavs twice in a row now.
But they're just a letdown. I'll say it. Yeah. Letdown, is that a fair way to put it? Letdown. Absolute letdown.
They're not performing to the levels.
The expectations for the season, they're not even sniffing those. They're not even close. There's not meeting expectations. There's failing, and then there's whatever the Bulls are doing right now, which is just terrible. Yeah. But shout out Donovan Mitchell, 71-point performance, and Robin Lopez helping him combine for a total of 72 between the two of them. Bobby, you want to go next?
So mine is Jarrett Stidham. They actually looked really well against the 49ers, which is a top defense.
That's a tough team to look good against.
Yeah, it is. And he threw for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, though. But, I mean, going up against a top defense. Yeah.
It's going to happen. Was this his first ever career start?
I believe so.
I don't want to say. I feel like he may have had an appearance.
Did he play in New England?
What's
I don't know.
Did he play in New England when he was there?
I think he did, but I don't think he ever
but I don't think he ever started, which is why I can't say this is his debut. But I mean, I view when you're as a quarterback, I consider your debut your first career start.
Yeah.
Because if you get kind of thrown in a second half blowout or something, it's that doesn't really count because you're not actually you're put in there for if you're on the team that's winning, you're put in there just so you can hand the ball off and not risk your starter getting injured.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're getting blown out, you get to throw and try and open up the playbook, but at the same time, you're not really facing as intense defensive coverages at that point, so it doesn't really count in my opinion either. But When you get the first career start, that's your true debut, in my opinion.
And he was solid.
No, he did look really good.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Jared Stidham and Brock Purdy would combine for what may have been the most entertaining game of the weekend?
Exactly.
He did not play any games in the Patriots. Well, no, he played 8 games.
I feel like he's like had some filler spots here and there.
Yeah, because that was the Cam Newton year.
That's right.
So, yeah, he could have been a start in one of those games when Cam Newton got
Whatever.
injured,
He looked solid. He looked solid for what you were expecting from him. You know,
Yeah.
like what were your expectations for Jared Stidham? Be
well,
realistic.
I thought it was going to be like, clearly it's not Derek Carr, like it's Josh McDaniels, but could be Derek Carr. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
what the future
in
holds.
2020, he went 1-4. He threw for a total of 44 passes. So not playing at all.
Yeah. So the thing with the whole Derek Carr, this is one start, and I'm not ready to go, oh, yeah, the issue with this team is Derek Carr. I still think the bigger problem is Josh McDaniels. All this does, though, is make it easier, quotes around that, for the Raiders to go, see, look at it. Josh McDaniels isn't an issue. It's our quarterback play, because that's always been what they for as long as Derek Carr has been with the Raiders, it's always been, well, our quarterback play holds us back. Quarterback play holds us back. Even when they went 12-4, made the playoffs, and he shattered his leg in the last or second to last game of the year, it was like, oh, quarterback play is what'll hold us back. Like there's never, no matter what, the Raiders are like an organization. They just never, like, it's never enough what you get from your quarterback if you're Derek Carr, or even you can bring Josh Jacobs into it. For every year since his rookie year, the Raiders there's been rumors that Josh Jacobs isn't their guy for running back.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Which he's locked it down this year. Josh Jacobs is legit. And I'm saying, if I have to see another report about how they're not sure if he's like, they want to commit to him as their feature back, what are we doing in Vegas?
He should just leave Vegas for how much they don't appreciate him.
Yeah, that's just the
I wish they
frustration.
would just come out and say, we don't know if we want to roll with him because he's older than someone we get out of the draft. Like, you can say that.
Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah.
tie a huge cap hit to a running back? That's different. But we're talking when he was on his second, third year in the league, and we're talking about how they might be looking to trade Josh Jacobs. Now, rumors are rumors. It's like whenever an NBA free agent is always rumored to go to the Knicks, Lakers, or what's it called, Clippers. Those are always like the 3 teams that get thrown out there. It's the same thing. I feel like that's just like a filler story. Raiders aren't sure about Derek Carr or Josh Jacobs, but either way, like, put it to rest. Josh Jacobs is legit. He's a stud.
Yeah.
But Jared Stidham had a good game. I'm not going to sit here and say he's better than Derek Carr. You know, one game, it doesn't make a quarterback.
Yeah.
I just think for the sake of Derek Carr, it's time to leave the Raiders.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, you need to go somewhere else. You got to think about how many everything Derek Carr has been through since being drafted, how many head coaches, offensive coordinators, everything they went through last year alone. It's like the reality is Derek Carr has been thrown into the ringer for the Raiders, and he's been good for them for pretty much his entire career. And it's like, now your team is very good, but I think you made the wrong decision at head coach. But you know, Derek Carr is learning what, 5th new offensive system, 6th new offensive system since he was drafted in 2014.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough. So
He reminds me a lot of Phillip Rivers style, where it's like he never wins the big game, but like he's always consistent. And I mean, Phillip Rivers got a little bit luckier because he never had constant coaching changes. But it's like, people always kind of nagged Phillip Rivers, like, oh, we can't throw that far. He's not that good. But it's like he was always accurate, and he was paired with a solid running back in LaDainian Tomlinson. So it's like, yeah, it's going to mask some of Derek Carr's problems, but Derek Carr's a great quarterback.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that, like, I remember a couple years ago, we're talking about if the Raiders were going to trade Derek Carr, we'd take him in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the thing. Like, I got nothing against Derek Carr. Phillip Rivers was probably going to finish it. Like, Carr's career, when he finishes, he probably won't reach Phillip Rivers' numbers, but like, Derek Carr is an above average quarterback. I'd put him in the top, 17 in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's been on and off this year, but like for the better part of his career, he's been reliable.
Yeah, his ceiling is top 10. Like if he has a really good year, he can get in the top 10. But if he gets a really bad season for him, it's still not
upper terrible.
Teens. Like he barely drops below the top 20.
Right. So Derek Carr, I like the dude. Bobby knows I've always been high on Derek Carr since he was drafted. But I'll go. Speaking of quarterbacks that kind of get some flack, I'm going to kind of touch on it. My hot spot's going to be Stetson Bennett, more so Like, first off, I'm going to preface Stetson Bennett, in my opinion, should not have been a Heisman finalist. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But what I've been seeing a lot, which is irritating me, is the whole Stetson Bennett's 25 years old. He's a man playing with boys. Like, okay, that sounds really bad. Pause. Pause, rewind. He's like a grown man playing with like still developing young men.
Young adults.
That
Yes,
still sounds.
it's not good, dude. There's no.
That's young adults.
He's a man among.
He's an upperclassman. playing
Basically,
with
everyone.
college students.
Yes. Okay. It.
Throw college in there because then you're at least
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
the 18 number on.
That was pretty tough. Yeah. But the point is, like, I've been seeing all these videos, and it's like, he's 25. He's more physically developed. He's more capable than some of these athletes, and it's annoying because, dude, we're talking about 25 like he's 30. Right?
Yeah.
He's really not. Yeah. For context, a very well liked player was Hendon Hooker, quarterback for Tennessee. Hendon Hooker is only a few months older than Stetson Bennett. Yet no one's talking about how he's so much older than everyone else he's playing with and playing against. I just think it's kind of a stupid narrative to push. Well, it's one of those things you use when you have nothing else to kind of pick on someone for.
Also, it's Georgia, so they're going to just use anything they can.
To me, it's like, I feel like they're trying to find something because, to me, looking at Stetson Bennett, he's just I don't know. He's
solid
like
quarterback.
He's Jake Fromm, which is a slightly older version. So I'm like, people are going to be like, well, as an NFL scout, like, I don't want to really take him. It's just because he's an older version of that.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, just say that though. Say he's an older quarterback who like really doesn't excel. Like,
yeah, no,
he doesn't wow you, but like he's just good. Like, I understand why you have to.
My thing is like Stetson Bennett. I don't see him ever being a legitimate NFL starter. Maybe he carves out a career as a backup. He's not very. He's 5'10", 5'11", so he's considered on the short end for the quarterback position. He doesn't like the thing I like about him is he's pretty good with the ball. He doesn't. They don't ask him to do a lot with his arm in Georgia. And that's like everyone knocks him for that. But then you see he throws for 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he throws some dimes from time to time. Like he's a solid college quarterback. I don't care that he's 25 years old. Yeah. There's a reason he's still a college quarterback. I mean, we're acting like he wasn't a college walk-on, transferred to JUCO, transferred back, third string, second string, now starter, and going to his second straight national championship game. All as a dude who is viewed as someone who might never play D1 college football.
Yep.
So it's like, what I just don't like trying to take something away from him when it's like, I don't think he carries himself like some kind of jerk.
Yeah.
By all means, from what I've seen, he's a pretty stand-up guy. Yeah. So it's like,
to me, it's
annoying.
Strange to make that comment like to a quarterback. Like, I can understand if like you're a running back who's like 28 years old and you have like 10 years to put on muscle.
Yeah.
But it's like he's not going out there and running over people.
Yeah,
like,
he's not very big. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like he's not physically
he's
like
25. So like if you go to school and you would go there for 4 years, you're 22 when you graduate.
Right.
So okay, so let's just assume that the average player redshirts is for freshman year. So now it's 23 if you play all your years. And with COVID year, everyone got an extra year. So that puts everyone possibly could play until they're 24. Most of U of I's roster is 24 or 23. Just because they play in the SEC where everyone just leaves when they're 19 or 20. Like they don't, not all of them play for 5 years. So
right.
It's like,
what I think it is also is Georgia is now like the enemy of NCAA football, which, come on, they've been on top for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still rooting for TCU, but I've disliked Alabama for a long time.
We'll get into that here shortly, but it's like Georgia is a complete football program. I think there's no questioning that.
Yeah.
And for the longest, and what the knock on Georgia every year when they were becoming like a legit program was their quarterback, because they never went and got like the star recruit quarterback. Jake Fromm started over Justin Fields, who everyone in the world that said Justin Fields is better than Jake Fromm, which, yes, I think that's fair to say. But Jake Fromm stayed the starter. Then you went and you brought in JT Daniels, who lost the job to Stetson Bennett. So it was always like, you always wanted to knock the quarterback position. And then Stetson Bennett last year proved that he's not a crap quarterback and continued it this year. So now you can't push the narrative that Stetson Bennett's holding back college football. So now, or not college football, holding back Georgia. So now you got to find another way to take a shot at him because what you had isn't true anymore.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, he could very well finish his career in Georgia with 1 loss and 2 national championship games as a starting quarterback. Not saying they're going to win the national championship game, but he's in play for that.
Yeah.
Which, how many, like, I don't care how old you are. The point is for them to win the national championship game. Brandon Whedon was 28 when he played at Oklahoma State.
He did.
If a 28-year-old's winning you the national championship game, you're winning the national. If you got the eligibility, there's a reason you're not in the NFL. It's because you weren't good enough.
Yeah.
So it's like talent, everything
Stetson Bennett's
scales.
older than Justin Fields, but if you told me right now who I want the Bears, it's Justin Fields. Like,
Yeah.
because you're older doesn't mean you're better.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like it's just an annoying. It's real. They're really reaching at something. And it's like you're looking stupid when you say
Yeah.
that. So that's my hot spot. But you mentioned TCU, so we'll roll straight into college football. We had the college football playoffs, which, by the way, we totally just ignored that last week's episode.
I
Yeah, we already
honestly
talked about it
didn't
for a bunch,
realize
so.
that it was coming up.
It just like New Year's, it just snuck up. I was like, oh, Christmas came, and I forget that literally the next week is New Year's.
Yeah.
But so we had the college football playoffs happen. The what was it? The Fiesta Bowl was Michigan and TCU.
Yeah.
That I will say, very exciting games. This may have been the most exciting college football playoffs I've ever watched.
Oh yeah, compared to last year, it was like
yeah.
way more exciting. To
And
watch. Like
it looked like we were in store for two blowouts too, because
Yeah.
TCU went up big on Michigan. Michigan managed to storm back. Credit to them for that. But then ultimately TCU takes down Michigan 51-45.
I believe it was the highest scoring Fiesta Bowl.
Probably it wouldn't shock me. 51's a lot of points, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. There was no defense.
Yeah, defense was just optional in that second half. I will say, credit to TCU. I think there were still a lot of people who they're still not good enough. Like people who were not convinced that TCU is like a legit playoff team. Kind of like how a lot of people viewed Cincinnati last year. It's like, well, they deserve to be there, but they're just not in the same class as these other teams. And then they went and punched Michigan in the mouth. And oh, dude, it was just an exciting game. As someone who doesn't like Michigan, it was fun to watch as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But I will.
I knew it was gonna be a lot better than Cincinnati because TCU's not saying like they're an actual big school, but like you watch the defensive line and those guys aren't getting dwarfed by Alabama.
Yeah.
It's like it'll still be interesting to see TCU play Georgia because Georgia's just a different beast on the defensive line. Michigan has the big O linemen. Like they'll go pound for pound with Georgia's defensive linemen. TCU, I don't know. It's gonna look weird.
We'll see, but TCU runs an interesting kind of defense as well.
yeah.
They're gonna probably Stetson Bennett's gonna really have to beat zone coverage, I feel like, against TCU, which you saw against Ohio State. They ran a lot of zone against him in that game, and that's what kind of slowed that offense for such a long time. But no, it was an exciting game, and oh man, what's his name? The quarterback?
Max Duggan.
No. Michigan's quarterback.
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. That I was gonna say JT, and I knew it wasn't that.
You were close.
JJ McCarthy. I will give credit to him. It's like that second half, he just like put Michigan's offense on his back.
Yeah.
The amount of times he kept plays alive with his legs and kept them in it. Unfortunately, when you throw 2 pick sixes, it's hard to win games when you do that.
It's really hard to come back.
And I will say, difficult way for that game to end in terms of the bad snap when he's not ready for it.
Yeah.
The targeting controversy. Now, I'm not saying if they get that targeting call, they go down and score. I don't think they were going to with 22 seconds or whatever, no timeouts. But it definitely changes things a lot. And by the rule of the law, yes, it was targeting. However, I'm not up in arms that they didn't call it. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch it or not.
No, I wasn't watching that.
Gotcha. So it was like the last play of the game, 4th and 8 or something like that. And JJ McCarthy's like going to say something to his lineman, and the center snaps the ball, fumble, manages to get recovered by I don't even remember who, but he laterals it to one of their receivers, and then he's getting tackled like well short of the first down still. And then he's like, as he's getting spun down, he gets spun down like into TCU safety, who's like going for the tackle, but his head's down. So it's like the principal point of contact was the defender's helmet. And so it looks like targeting. Even the announcers are like, I feel like you got to call targeting. So now everyone's like, oh, you got to give him the targeting call. I think it was a fine no call, but I'm also partial to targeting where it's like, I feel like you have to take in the circumstance of the tackle. Like if the guy getting tackled gets like thrown into a defender and it looks like targeting, I don't feel like you can call targeting because in that case, the dude gets spun into the defender. The defender's not leading to try and hit him in the head, but he gets thrown into him that way.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't call those targeting. Now, obviously, when you straight up lead with it and go straight for it, that's different. But when the ball carrier gets thrown into you and makes it look like targeting, as a ref, I feel you have to look and go, well, was the principal point of contact going to be the helmet if that doesn't happen? And if you say no, then I don't think you call targeting, which is what I think they determined. But everyone was pissed if you're a Michigan fan because, it's this whole, it's targeting. It's the rule.
I don't think that was really going to change it because
no, it was going to give you 23 seconds. You're going to be at like the 45-yard line, no timeouts. You couldn't really move. Well, actually, no, that's not fair. They hit a lot of deep balls, actually.
They did.
But
that Bell.
But in that situation, you're just going to,
Ronnie Bell.
You need a touchdown.
Yeah, you need a touchdown. So
TCU's just going to play back.
Yeah, they were going to play soft. They were going to make you get behind them, and they weren't going to let you get behind them. So I just don't think it was going to change anything. And if anything, you have more right to be upset about the catch that was ruled down at the half-yard line instead of a touchdown. But whatever, don't fumble the snap on the very next play.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things Michigan did that cost them the game on their own, right? That to get outraged, that to win a game, it should never come down, like the game shouldn't be in the ref's hands. If you're a team and you're at that point where you're relying on the refs to make a call in your favor, you don't get to complain because you shouldn't be in that position to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if it's super egregious, that's a little different, like if we're talking about the Saints Rams pass interference that wasn't called, that's a whole different story to get into right there. But we're talking like a ticky-tacky, could be, couldn't be kind of call. That's not where you get to draw the line and be outraged.
Yeah.
You kind of had every opportunity before that and still lost.
And really, they couldn't establish a good run game, and they relied on J.J. McCarthy to bail them out. And it's like
it just. I thought the magic on offense in that second half wore out. It was obvious from the last play. They were done.
Yeah.
So, still a very exciting game.
It was a good game. I took TCU to cover because I was like,
what was the spread on that one, by the way?
7.5.
And was TCU favored? No.
Okay,
so
Michigan
they
was
covered.
favored. So they won. So I was like,
yes,
I thought Michigan would win, but I thought it would be a close game. But
it ended up being a close game.
I should take TCU money line, man.
That would have been a bigger
That
payout.
was my regret. Yeah. But hey, still won the bet. Happy with it.
Yeah, no, it was an exciting game. And then you move on. So the Peach Bowl, which, by the way, I don't like that they give two of the major bowl games to this playoff. Just make it a playoff. Let other teams get their Peach Bowl in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
But whatever, I digress. Peach Bowl, I'll say it. Ohio State made Georgia look bad for like 3/4 of football.
Well, really, it was like, okay, everyone was like writing Ohio State off, saying they weren't good. They lost to Michigan, blah, blah. And like, this was their chance to prove it. And they proved that their team was good enough to be in the college
even with the
football
loss, they proved that they belong to be there. It's kind of, honestly, if you're an Ohio State fan, and I'm not one, and I was still frustrated watching it because it's like, where was this against Michigan?
If they played like that against Michigan, they would have dominated. Like their defense was holding like Georgia, and like they could not do anything against
They couldn't
Michigan.
do anything. Like I said, they ran a lot of zone, forced Stetson Bennett to pick them apart. If you're running zone, you're forced to pretty much take whatever the defense is willing to give you. And if they run zone really well, you're not going to get a lot.
Yeah.
And then Stetson Bennett, I don't know if he was injured or something, but they did not use his legs much at all in that game for the most part, which is like he's a sneaky, fast kind of quarterback. That's a part of his game that I feel like can really help open up the passing game, and they just weren't doing it. But I'm looking more offensive. Like, in my opinion, CJ Stroud's best game as the quarterback in Ohio State.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
definitely.
the only team they played that was good.
Yeah.
Besides Michigan.
Yeah.
He did not play good against those games.
And like he's had some impressive games, but to do what you did against Georgia, which is this vaunted defense, and you put up 41 on them, could have been 44 if your kicker didn't do what he did.
Yeah, that was a terrible kick, man.
You put up 41 and to have the Georgia defense on their heels pretty much the entire time, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the big reason is this was the most CJ Stroud has used his legs in mobility in a game. You think about how many times he escaped pressure, like how frustrated that Georgia pass rush had to be because he would manage to spin out and either scramble or keep the play alive. Coverage would break down. So once you're in scramble drill, good luck to the DBs. They can only do so much.
Yeah.
They're really susceptible for holding and pass interference calls at that point. Prayers up when you're a defensive back and you see the quarterback leave the pocket.
But yeah, they weren't like small runs. He was picking up like 15,
No, he was
20
picking up
yards off
legit.
it. Yeah.
I mean, that last scramble he had that put him like in field goal range, which evidently wasn't field goal range for that kicker.
Yeah.
But
That's a tough thing. Like,
no, I know.
Everyone's roasting him like he
I know,
way
I'm-
left on purpose. Like, no, you know,
Don't worry, I'll defend the guy in a second
I
here.
mean,
but like
that was a
like a
terrible
20,
kick.
that was like a 20-ish yard, 20+ yard run, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, damn, CJ Stroud just did that to Georgia.
It was impressive.
It was heartbreaking for all 3 plays that before the field goal attempt.
But like, if that's a CJ Stroud you're getting, like, yeah, he's top 10 pick, like for sure.
Plus,
Like,
he just moved his draft class up so much. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
this is now it's like, we've talked about it, whereas like CJ Stroud was the consolation prize for the team that doesn't get Bryce Young. I feel like after this game, you got to be pretty excited about that. Like, and obviously I'm not saying it's like CJ Stroud, like Bryce Young up here, CJ Stroud down here. It's more like right around here.
Yeah.
But like now you're feeling more comfortable with that because you saw a quarterback that can like make it happen on his own.
Yeah, because he was making the plays.
Yeah, like CJ Stroud, his whole knock has always been he doesn't like he was so adamant on being a pocket passer that it hurt him as a quarterback. Like he wasn't good off script. This whole game, most of that game, I felt like he was off script.
Yeah.
And it was impressive. It was just a really good game.
And Marvin Harrison Jr., man.
Yeah, he's legit. It's a shame he can't go into the draft
I
this
know,
year. He'd be
like-
top 10. But if he's healthy next year, goodbye.
Yeah,
First wide receiver off the board,
Yeah,
easy.
For sure. Like,
For
I think,
sure.
Like that's where you look at like next year if they're in the playoffs, I don't know how much he'll play. Like you look at guys like CJ Stroud, people were doubting him, so it's like of course I'm going to play in the bowl game I'm playing. But guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba, his draft stock has not moved. Really, it's only gone up. So if he doesn't want to play, that makes sense. Like all
Yeah.
these people are like, oh, it makes teams like doubt you or that. It's like no, he's kind of being smart because he's injured, but that's not his goal. Is to get to the NFL. His goal isn't to win a national championship. Everyone's goal. I guarantee if you went to every single player on every single campus of anyone who's making the college football playoff and you said, would you rather make it to the national championship and win or go to the NFL? All of them would say go to the NFL if you can only pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely
Everyone's
agree.
going to NFL.
I'm all for players who choose to opt out of the bowl games and everything. I feel like if you're in the college football playoff, maybe you should take a little more time to think about that just because the stakes are a little higher. Like, okay, sure, you go on and you win, let's say you win the Cotton Bowl. Great. That's a BCS bowl game. That's one of the big 6. But it's not as cool. Cool, you won the Cotton Bowl, but they would all trade it for the national championship game, which is why I think it's I don't care that you choose not to play in it. I just feel like you should think about it a little bit more because this is your national championship run right here. Like, you guys made it into the playoff. You got a chance to go to the national championship game. There's a little bit more at stake than just the bowl game. But at the same time, I still get it. Like, what's his who was it? Jalen Waddle, when he chose to play through his injury in the national championship game 2 years ago, and then they took him out and he was limping.
yeah.
In that situation, I mean, it all worked out for him, but you could be talking about a whole different
Yeah,
career.
Jameson Williams. Didn't
He tore it in the national championship games. But that's another thing. He made his debut 2 weeks ago for the Lions.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to weigh the winning the championship against like your NFL career. If you're a dude who's a legit NFL talent, yeah, I'm inclined that you sit out. But if you're one of those guys who's like, you know what, I'm a 4-year or 5th-year senior here. I'm not really a legit NFL star. If I'm lucky, I'm like 6th, 7th round pick. Yeah, go get your play in it because that might be the biggest football game of your life.
Yeah.
But like you're talking guys who are 1st round, 2nd round picks. I get it. Like,
and Jackson Smith-Njigba has had injury problems.
Yeah.
It's like, I do not want to play in the most intense college game of the season
against
and then risk
the
getting hurt.
toughest defense in the
Yeah.
college football.
No, but I'm glad you brought up Marvin Harrison Jr. because I didn't watch the game, but I've watched it since. And I don't know if you can call targeting on that last play. My only problem is I think the rule in NFL and college is stupid, where it's like they're trying to protect players, but literally if you're a safety, you can just crush a receiver as long as he's making a catch on the ball. Like that to me was a hit on a defensive player because he's only looking at the ball and you as a safety come straight at his side and hit him. And like, yeah, what you were saying earlier, he ducked down to catch it. And if he doesn't get hit anywhere near the head, but he ducks down and it's close to his head. I think if Georgia's defensive player is making a play on the ball, then no, it's nothing. But he did not try a single ounce for that ball.
I don't think it's a penalty because
it's not in the how the rules are written. No, it's not.
Well, I don't like the defenseless receiver thing because like in my opinion, this opens up this exact conversation, which wouldn't happen. If your principal point of contact is the head, penalty. If you lead with your shoulder and you hit someone in his shoulder or in his chest with your shoulder pads, I don't care how hard the hit is. I don't care if he's looking like this. If it's clean and you didn't get there early, it's a clean hit. Like there's too much ticky-tackness in my opinion, when it comes to the hits on defenseless players. If it's a clean hit and you're not making contact with his head, which didn't happen in that video, it was shoulder to shoulder, absolutely brutal hit. Yes, made no play on the ball. But I've always felt that those kinds of hits, they happen in the NFL. I don't think it's a dirty hit or anything. I don't think it's a penalty. I feel like those rules, that defenseless receiver should only be reserved for hits to the head. That's my opinion of the rule.
Well, then that rule
it's inconsistent.
That rule should just be gone.
I don't disagree.
Because there's targeting, which is hitting to the head.
Yes.
So then there should be no penalty for defenseless player.
Yeah, I don't.
To the head.
I don't like the
only
defenseless
problem
player
is,
rule.
Well, there's times when that rule needs to be outside of that, because if a guy's going to run out of bounds and you just come straight at his knees, that should be a penalty. Why are you trying to injure someone? That's the only thing you're doing.
Yeah, but that's unnecessary roughness. Like that's late hits. That's different.
But even if he's in bounds, then it's necessary. It's a hit on a defensive player. If he's giving himself up to run out of bounds, but he's not out of bounds yet,
I think they would call, if they even would call it, they'd call it unnecessary roughness. Because you see that all the time with like quarterbacks when they're running out of bounds and then they get hit right as they're at the sideline. They call unnecessary roughness, not defenseless player. Defenseless player is strictly reserved for wide receivers trying to make a catch.
Yeah.
That penalty doesn't get called unless a receiver's trying to catch the ball. In which case, then you go, oh no, you have to. And I get the nature of the rule, but my thing is like, if the technique is there and it's just a big hit, now you're punishing a player for good technique. Like you have to remember, these guys are coming. Like in that situation, C.J. Stroud should have thrown that ball away. He threw just a floater all day for the defense to adjust to this ball. And if a safety is coming across the field, they have to run full speed to get there. It's not fair to expect them to come like to a dead stop and make a softer hit when just because the receivers kind of stuck there waiting for it. In my opinion, that's a learning experience for your quarterback. You don't throw that ball like that because it's a full speed game, and we're asking defenders to have to slow down their speed to protect an offensive player. But an offensive player would never have to slow down his speed in any situation. So that's just. I don't think it's a great rule. It's mostly inconsistent. If you're going to keep it, you have to you have to be really strict on it. You can't leave it up for open to interpretation, which is the problem with it, is that it's open to interpretation because they will still punish someone for good technique just because it's a big hit. Yeah. And I don't like that because defenders already have a hard enough time as is, especially DBs making a play on the ball, making a play on the receiver. Now, they have to at that. You might as well say they have to let the receiver attempt to catch the ball before you hit them.
Well, I don't think people are saying that. I'm thinking if you at least as a safety make a look towards the ball, then you're fine. But the fact is he put his head right at the guy and ran at him full speed and then hit him. So you have to at least make the conscious effort to look at the ball and then hit him. I'm not, because I think it's stupid. You're sitting in the end zone, you're just like, well, you have to wait till he fully catches it and then you can hit him. Well, that's a touchdown.
No, I get it. It's too open-ended of a rule.
My biggest problem is, since they've put in rules about protecting players, is that college has done so much better. I think that they're really quick on their helmet-to-helmet contacts because those guys get thrown out of the game instantly. Mm-hmm. And in NFL, there's a bit of a review thing of then they might get ejected. Right. But college, you don't have that big disparity. For me, NFL is so stupid with a quarterback slides. Most guys, it's an automatic roughing the passer. But for some guys, it's not because they're more athletic. That doesn't make any sense.
Justin Fields.
Yep.
Yeah. Same thing. Lamar Jackson gets beat up and why is he getting injured so much?
Cam Newton in his prime was taking a beating all the time.
But Cam Newton got unlucky because half of his career was before those rules, half of it was after.
Yeah.
It was the big Teddy Bridgewater injury that really sent everyone into maybe we shouldn't let them dive full speed at their heads when they're sliding.
That's right. I forgot Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out cold one time.
Well, that's my thing has always been college. Why is college, which is more games, more pressure, you need more refs for it? Why are they better and more consistent than NFL? like this isn't even that close of a debate. It depends on what side of the line you want to call it on.
Right.
It's like, really, I don't think it should have been targeting, but you have a defensive player rule in there. So it's like, we'll take that rule out and then no one's debating this.
Right.
In the NFL, there's this debate almost every week about
Oh yeah.
player.
This I would be willing to bet that this play gets flagged. And honestly, I'll be honest, I'm glad they didn't call it, but I'm going to say 9 times out of 10 the flag is thrown on that play.
Yeah,
I just
NFL,
think it will be,
Yeah.
especially in the NFL. The NFL is a lot more strict with that defenseless player rule.
Yeah,
so
they are.
I'm cool with the no call. It did take Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the game, which sucked, but
that did, because I think if he stays in the game,
you could be talking a whole different
Yeah.
outcome, which sucks. But I don't even think it was like people are saying, oh, it's headhunting. They were headhunting their best
No, I
player.
don't think-
No, I think the safety, which a lot of safeties would do this, like they look at it like this. I get to lay a hit stick on someone. They all do it. Safeties love that crap.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, I mean, everyone does. When you
Yeah,
play
but,
Madden,
like-
are you wrapping up or are you?
no,
hit
I'm
stick?
always hit sticky,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Especially when
Like-
they run across the middle, you hit him with a quick slant.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's like
we've
this
seen
is
the Bears with Jaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson multiple times. They will try to lay a guy out. They're not even that big, but they're still going to try to hit him hard because that's your time to do it. You can't just go do that every time because most likely you're going to have Derrick Henry on their side who's going to truck you down. But when he's not really paying attention to you, that's your chance.
yeah.
Just lay it out.
And my thing is like with these kinds of penalties, I try to do this all like I'm a Georgia fan, obviously, but if I put myself in the position of if this had happened to a Georgia wide receiver, would I be outraged for a penalty? And I can honestly say in that play, no, I wouldn't be. I felt like it was a big, absolutely like just massive hit, but nothing about it was dirty. No leading with the helmet. No, he didn't make contact directly to the helmet. I don't even think he made contact with the helmet, period. So it's like, if I can't be upset about the no call, if it's the team I want to win,
I'll do
okay.
even better. I don't care about either one of those teams, and I wouldn't have thrown a penalty.
Perfect.
Because what
Even better.
I think college football is rigged is when they put them in the top 25. When the committee decides on them. I think that's when they rig and they give bumps to Alabama and Georgia and all that.
Yeah.
More than other schools.
You
But
get those legacy points we like to call
Yeah.
them.
all the refs are pretty fair. But they're not going to be like, oh, well, this is Michigan. Michigan is a storied program over TCU. It's like, no, how about we're going to call this because we're going to call this. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's why I love they take refs that don't ref in the conference. So these were Pac-12 refs for that game, the Ohio State and Georgia game. I'm going to assume it was Pac-12 refs as well, or possibly SEC refs for the TCU Michigan game. That way you can't have any controversy of refs that are familiar with other teams being partial. You never reffed these teams. There you go. You get these games. I think college football does it pretty good.
Yeah, no,
in terms of their reffing situation.
Yeah.
I think people were just making more controversy out of these games because of the way they ended. Which
everyone has to, and you have the two biggest. Same thing. If Alabama and Georgia were in there, it would be the 4 biggest fan bases that would cry about if their team lost. Like Michigan fans would not really care if this was not a Michigan game.
yes,
They'd be like, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to ruin the integrity of the game. That probably may have been called a targeting, but if it's not at least 50-50 on it, we're not going to call it.
right.
And same thing with Ohio State. If that's Georgia versus Alabama playing, I don't think Ohio State fans are really one side or the other side.
Right. It's just your
Two-
team was on the receiving
You have
end.
two
Yeah.
crybaby fan bases, and then Georgia and Alabama are the same way, and Clemson too. I put them like
Clemson
if something
fans
goes
are annoying.
if something goes wrong on your side, it's like you're gonna cry about it, but it's like
Yeah.
objectively, no,
No,
it's
no,
not-
no penalty.
Yeah.
No horse in Nick. You said you have no horse in that race. You say no penalty. Case closed. I do feel bad for the Ohio State kicker though. That's tough.
Yeah, that was a terrible.
They
kick,
put him
man.
right on the edge of his field goal range. What sucks is just how bad the kick ended up being. Like if it was like barely a miss, okay, you can't be mad at a dude attempting him. I've always said you can't be upset if a kicker misses when he's attempting his career long.
Yeah.
There's a reason it would be his career long. It's because he doesn't have that range in him.
Yeah.
And in
even
this
when it's
case,
close
he
to
didn't
career
have it
long.
in him.
If it's
Yeah.
close to a career long and it's for the game, I don't have any.
Yeah.
It's like you should have moved your team up farther or Hail Mary pass.
Yeah.
Because if you throw a Hail Mary pass there and it gets incomplete, no one blames CJ Stroud. They're like, well, why didn't you throw it better? No, because it's a Hail Mary pass. So it's
Yeah.
a Hail Mary field goal. And everyone blames the kicker.
That's
but
great logic. It works the same. It's a Hail Mary field goal when it's his career long. It is.
I've always
Yeah.
been impartial to kickers because, like, if the snap just comes because it's holder looks at the kicker says yes, and then holder
Snap.
goes, and it should be snap, and then he should be in his progression. if the snapper, if the holder doesn't call it right away, you're already thrown off in your rhythm. And
There's so much
if that
rhythm
ball's
to it.
slightly
Yeah.
off, you're already in your mind about this is to go to the national championship, all this stuff.
Right.
Everyone cares about this, and then you just
Yeah.
nub it off to the left and you hook it, and it's just like
Hooked it hard though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
It didn't have a
That
chance
was-
from
that
the
was really
start.
hard. Also,
It's so
I want to
And I feel bad for the guy. And another thing is like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
here,
no
Bob, but
worries.
this will be real quick. It's like, you know what? CJ Stroud scrambles for 20-ish, 20 plus yards, puts you right at the edge of his field goal range. I think they were a yard behind it. That's his career long, that little yard that the line to get to that they give you on the screen for those of you who don't know. From that point, what did you do with your 3 plays? 0 gain, incomplete, incomplete. You did nothing.
Yeah, you didn't do
Get
anything.
yourself, we're talking if you get a couple more yards, maybe he feels that much more comfortable about the kick and isn't thinking I have to put a lot of power behind it.
Yeah.
Because when you have to put the extra power behind it, you're going to sacrifice the accuracy. We saw the
Yeah,
sacrifice. Like that's what happens when his focus is now on the distance more than the accuracy.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So
Yeah.
you know what you're at when you ask your kicker to attempt the longest field goal he has ever attempted up to this point in his career, you don't get to be pissed when he misses. That's just my thing. You could be you could be sad and bummed.
Yeah.
But the dude's never done that before. You're asking him to do, so like Nick put it, a great example. It's a Hail Mary field goal at that
Yeah.
point. That's not fair to the kicker. It's just like you wouldn't blame CJ Stroud if he threw an interception on a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Same exact concept.
No, I agree.
That's actually a beautiful way to put it, Nick. I appreciate that. Way to
But
go.
coming in.
I just want to give Kirby Smart is a great head coach, man. He used his timeout so wisely.
Oh,
like
the fake punt.
that fake punt, like who would have ever thought they were running fake? Like that man caught it.
Here comes
one
my
knows
like.
where they ran it.
Here comes that LeCap moment. But and you can ask Matt because Matt was there. I straight up was like, "Do you think they run a fake punt here?" Because in my head, I'm thinking I love the fake punt personally. If it's like 4th and 2 or 3, I'm always like, you got to go for the fake punt. They're never
Dude,
ready for it.
like-
and Georgia was not ready for it, and you could even see their players were like, I'm pretty sure they're going to fake this punt. We don't know what to do because every other punt formation at that point, Ohio State, because for whatever reason in college, they just spread them all out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they spread them all out. And then this one time, Ohio State brings them all in. I saw that and was like, interesting.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, do you really want to give Georgia the ball back? Like you can put this game away with a first down. And they did it, but Kirby Smart got the timeout, and that play would have worked, man.
Yeah, dude.
Because
he was
Georgia,
gone.
the Georgia punt team was still looking like
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here.
He got it off right
Just in
and
time.
then he iced that kicker.
Yeah,
Kirby Smart is a great head
My
coach.
favorite are the coaches, the college coaches that'll just tell the punter, if you have space, just run. Because those ones are wild. Because not even your own team knows. What's happening.
they're just like
You just run out in coverage. And all
oh
of a
damn,
sudden,
he going.
you
Yeah.
turn around and see where the punt is, and then your punter's like 20 yards behind you, and you're like, oh,
He's
we
like
faked
block
it. We
him,
faked it.
block him. The smoothest fake punt I've ever seen. This was years ago. The LSU punter like pulls it back behind his legs and just takes off and goes for a touchdown.
Yeah,
Gets
that
called back because he had to do this to the return man as he crossed the goal line, but still a first down.
was-
Yeah.
Still, it was. I'm a big fan of the fake punt. I advocate for it pretty much all the time. If you watch football with me, you'll know I always say fake punt. Here it comes, fake punt. And it doesn't happen very often, but man, it feels good when you say here comes a fake punt. It happens.
I
And
know,
You just feel like you know
Dude,
something.
because they got to play off, and I'm like, dude, he got that. And then I just see him like, oh,
The whistles.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like Kirby Smart.
And
man.
that was the game right there. If they don't get that,
yeah.
it's over. Georgia doesn't have enough timeouts. Clock is there's just over 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
You're talking, you get to run they had 2 timeouts or 1 timeout left after that.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have been able to stop you because they would have been able to stop the clock one time, 1 first down ends that game. So
Well, that was the other thing is TCU Michigan at halftime. Michigan called the timeout, and TCU's kicker missed the field goal, and then he comes back out and he makes it. And my dad absolutely loves when that happens. It's so sad.
This-
It's like,
it-
of
yeah.
course you have to, but it's like, but when you wait to that very last second, you risk the free practice kick. So it's like
yeah.
you can't wait that
Yeah,
long.
no, you got to make sure he does not get that kickoff
Yeah.
because you don't want him to get the
And
extra
at least if it's the away team, it's a little bit different. But when you're a kicker and you're the coach, if you have any doubts, you call that timeout before he even gets set up. Because
Yeah.
that's even the worst when he makes it and then your team called the timeout and then he just shanks it wide left.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
I'm pretty sure like there's not even really much analytics that back up icing the kicker. Like it doesn't. There's nothing that proves that it swings one way or the other.
But I just wouldn't want to let him get a free practice kick.
No,
to be like, oh, okay, I kicked it like that. Let me adjust.
I love watching the when they ice the kicker, and like you said, they get that kick off, but it's the timeout happens, but they kick it anyway and they miss, and they make it the second time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It hurts
like,
though a lot when they make it the first time, and then they double doink it, and you're eliminated from the playoffs. Cody Parkey, dickhead, piece of shit. Anyways,
to be fair, the Bears should have done better.
I know. I don't like to blame kickers when
that will always be associated with Cody Parker.
Yeah.
But like that's when you're taking
that will follow him everywhere.
When you're taking that kick at the end, if it's a long kick and you ice him, you better call that early because like my thing is the Ohio State kicker didn't think he had the leg to make it. And if you would have let him get a practice kickoff, and even if he shoots it way left, but if he knows he can make it, that no tension. So you're icing the kicker did the complete opposite.
Exactly. But you saw he was that kicker's focus was making sure he had the leg in him for it.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. If any of our listeners who are golfers, like if you go up there and you're like, oh, I need to shoot this ball over the water, and you try to just absolutely wail on a drive, most of the chances are either going way left or way right.
Yep.
If you just go up there and just take your nice easy, you just do whatever you do. Normally it's straight and it's farther than you've ever hit it before.
Yeah.
But no, you just go in there full power mode. And
it's all about the mindset, dude. He timed that ice real well. I'll give him that one.
Man.
But so then that lot, and did you see that was literally that kick happened at midnight on New Year's
for New York, right?
Yeah, Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
So like it literally the countdown, it happens, and then that kick goes off and it lands. And right when it hits the ground, boom, it's 2023. Like at the exact moment Georgia storms the field is when it was 2023.
What a terrible way to start for
rough start to the year for you.
That Ohio State kicker.
You couldn't have done it a second earlier and left that back in 2022.
He's like, now I live through all of 2023 with this as my starting moment.
Yeah, but like I said, you tend
when you
ask,
point. You can only get higher from there.
You can only go up from this.
Yeah.
Chance to send your team to the national championship.
But instead he sends Georgia. So we got Georgia TCU, which I will say Max Duggan, I think he's a matchup that you've got to be nervous about after watching CJ Stroud use his legs against Georgia. Yep. Max Duggan is less shy with his legs and his mobility. So
TCU has some weird like formations and all.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Okay, so
they're a unique team.
Yeah,
everyone was like, "Why is Ohio State good against Georgia but not against Michigan?" I think people always forget the fact that like Ohio State and Michigan played twice in the year. You're not really going to change much up, and you're going to have that whole time to plan for that. Georgia's never seen Ohio State before, so Ohio State has the whole year to figure out what Georgia does, and Georgia's not going to run a separate offense than what they've been running. And
defense. Georgia also really can't scout for a team until they know who their matchup is.
So now Georgia has 1 week to figure out TCU, and TCU is a weird offense. Like Max Duggan could run for 200 yards. Their running game's good. Their running game can go for 200 yards, and Max Duggan can roll out of the pocket and hit receivers deep. So it's like if you're Kirby Smart, you're like, all right, guys, this is a week. This is what they normally do, but I can't remember the name of TCU's coach, but he can be like, hey guys, we're gonna put in a different offensive scheme just for the fourth quarter. Like if it comes down to it and we're down 17 points, we're gonna throw like a crazy curveball and run just straight triple options. And Georgia's gonna have no
triple option. Like, bro, run the quadruple option.
Put 4 receivers back there and put Max Duggan on the outside wide. Like
it could work.
That's the only, like who do I think's gonna win this game? I think Georgia's gonna win. Who do I want to win? TCU.
I think TCU has a shot here. Like,
well, no shit, they made it here. They obviously have a shot.
Like, I don't think they're too far separated in their offensive powers. And
well, this game is going to be about what TCU's offense can do to Georgia's defense.
Yeah.
I just think Georgia is going to be able to run their style of offense against the TCU defense. I just do.
Yeah.
Ohio State did a good job taking away that style of play from Georgia. Maybe TCU can follow it, but I think Georgia's got the size and speed to kind of get to how they want to play on the offensive side of the ball. So it's going to be about how TCU answers whatever Georgia's doing on offense. At least that's what I think it's going to be. I think it'll be a good game. Actually,
I'm excited for it.
I'm picking Georgia, and I'll be like bummed if Georgia loses, but at least it would be to TCU, because if there was one team out of the other 3 that I would be able to stomach watching them lose to, it's TCU. Yeah. I can't stand Michigan. I hate Ohio State. They're two of my least favorite football programs in college football. So, like, I'm just glad that I don't have to watch one of them be the team that beats Georgia. If it's TCU, first off, it'll be awesome because they were unranked starting the year. Talk about an absolute long shot. First ever team to be unranked at the start of the preseason and make the national championship game. Michigan was the first team to ever make the playoffs starting unranked last year. So shout out them for that. But TCU won up them, making it to the championship game. So it's the whole thing is a cool story. You got Hypnotoad, TCU, up and coming program.
To me, it's gonna be so interesting. Like, I think Georgia's defense is good enough to stop their offense, but I've never seen Georgia's defense come on the field quick. Like after, like if TCU doesn't play good defense, Georgia's gonna score instantly, and then TCU's gonna be right back, and they're gonna be using their legs a lot because Max Duggan he's a scrambler. Their running game's good. They're going to keep having to use their legs. So I can see, normally I always say, like, when you play a team like Georgia, like I said with Tennessee, if you're down 14, 17 early, you're probably not coming back. If TCU goes down 14, 17 early, I can see them coming back in the second half as long as they're putting in long drives. Because Georgia's defense, whether TCU stops Georgia or doesn't, it's probably not going to be a long possession. So they're going to be right back out there again.
Yeah, it's conditioning will be a big part of this game. I am excited to see how it happens, though. We'll see how it plays out. Yep, Bobby, you're taking TCU.
I'm taking TCU.
I'm taking Georgia. Nick,
TCU money line it.
Yeah, I'm money lining this game. I've learned.
I think Georgia's going to win, but I'm rooting for TCU.
Fair enough. There are no losers in this game. I'm cool.
Yeah, I have no race.
I just want a close game.
No horse in this race.
Yeah, no horse.
I just want I want an entertaining game. Now, I want Georgia to win first off, but I can stomach watching TCU beat them because of the whole storyline and everything. Also, by the way, Bobby, do you know who one of the all-time greats to go to TCU was? Running back.
Running back.
Yes.
Give me era.
Early to mid 2000s, like 2003-ish to 2013, 14.
Cedric Benson?
No. Ew, no.
No?
It's a terrible guess. I'm pretty sure he went to Texas, so actually that's not that far off. But
yeah, Cedric Benson went to Texas.
Yeah, so
and Jamar Charles.
No. Is it? It's a big name.
So, it's a big name, both length of name and like who he is.
LaDainian Townsend.
Yes, LaDainian Townsend with the TCU.
I would have never.
Nick and I were. It was a trivia. It was that we were watching it a while ago. It was like the last 4 Heisman winners from each of the Final 4 in the college football playoff. And Nick and I were like, does TCU even have a Heisman winner? And it's LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, because we went through it. We knew Michigan's, because we knew Michigan at least had one when they had Charles Woodson, and then they'd had someone since then. They had their quarterback. And we knew Ohio State had one, and we knew Georgia had one. But we're like, but maybe they put TCU in there because TCU never had one. We were a little like, we missed the question.
We missed the answer.
We're like, oh shoot! And then he's like, we can just look it up. And I was like, well, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah. Also, I'll get another guy, quarterback in the NFL currently, probably the most notable outside of LaDainian Tomlinson to go to TCU.
Currently, he's a starter.
Yeah, he actually is a starter. He carved out another successful career for himself.
Starter.
Yeah, he's known as the quarterback who sent the Bills to the playoffs in 2017.
Tyrod?
No. He wasn't on the Bills though. But his performance in the last game of the year is what made the Bills go to the playoffs, because he led a drive that knocked out the team that had the advantage over them. Yeah,
I can't even think of who you're talking about.
This is a trick question. It's actually former Bears quarterback.
Mark Sanchez. I don't know why I want to keep saying Mark Sanchez.
It's not Mark Sanchez.
He went to USC.
Is it former Bears quarterback?
Former Bears quarterback.
I really want to say Chase Daniel, but I know you said just.
It's not. No,
I really wanted it to be Chase.
It wasn't. No, he was a former.
Tyler Bray.
No, this guy was a longtime starter for the team that drafted him for several years.
Just give him the answer. He doesn't know.
No, you don't know. Andy Dalton.
Oh,
Andy
yeah,
Dalton,
wow.
second round pick out of TCU.
That is true. He did.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna lie to you. Yeah, that is true.
No,
That is-
like
come on, what do you-
I don't know why. I just did not think of
It's
him
okay.
at all.
I just wanted to put you on the spot a little bit, Bob. That's for all the times you asked me to say Broncos country, let's ride.
Or who day?
Or who day.
Who day?
Go on, finish it. I said it first. Now you go.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay, whatever.
Because
So,
Bobby doesn't actually know it.
yeah,
Who day
just knows
gonna
the
beat
first-
them Bengals?
nobody.
Yeah,
Gotta
nobody.
finish it. Anyways, we digressed there. That was really fun.
Interesting.
Do we really want to
trivia.
even talk about the other New Year's Six bowl games? We'll
Yeah,
just
I want to talk about USC.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, so-
college losing to Tulane.
That'll be the only one we talk about. Penn State beats Utah in the Rose Bowl. Cotton Bowl we'll talk about here in a second. Sugar Bowl, Alabama kind of blows out Kansas State. And then the Orange Bowl, Tennessee beat Clemson 31-14 with backup quarterback.
They're the only team that can wear orange now. Between
It's
those
true.
two.
Yep, Clemson now has to change their colors. It's a rule.
Oh, that was real.
No.
Oh, I was like, okay. I thought.
Do you pay attention? Bobby, get your...
I thought for
Bobby,
a second. I
Bobby,
knew it
do
was
me a
fake,
favor.
but
Take some of the air out of your head right now because...
Yeah.
I'll put some H2O in it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you know that college teams were 1,196 when they were losing by 15 points in the last 3 minutes of a game, and now because of Tulane, they're 2,196.
Yeah. USC's defense sucks. That's the one thing they need to improve this offseason.
Well, yeah, when your star edge rusher is like a 6'8", 180-pound linebacker, I'm sorry, a strong wind will knock that man over.
Yeah. It's like
Also, Caleb Williams threw 2 picks.
Is this the legacy in USC with Lincoln Riley coming up short, choking? Is this the Kyle Shanahan of college football?
yeah.
Are we sure?
Listen, this is year one. All right. We're only going up from here. All right.
3 losses. I will say someone here called 3 losses on
But
here.
apparently,
No, I
said
said
a lot
9-3, but
so I saw this video on TikTok, and apparently the way that Tulane runs their offense is everyone has a wristband, and they run like quick sets. So like they run a very simplified offense, and they run it fast. That's the way like
Yeah, and
they
USC
like
lost
beat
to
all their
them.
defense.
USC lost to them, dude. They use flag football playbooks. That's what I did in my flag football league, Bobby.
Smart, man.
No, you want to know why USC lost? It's TJ Spears. 17 attempts for 205 yards. I don't care how simple your offense is. If you're letting a guy get 12.4 yards a carry, you have a problem. He also
Yeah, their
got-
defense
also got
is
4
actually really
touchdowns.
bad.
It's really bad.
Their
Like,
defense is terrible.
Imagine
Like-
when they go to the Big Ten, when they have pretty much every team is dead set on running the ball, and they're just going
Where they're gonna just punch you in the mouth physically.
I
Hey,
can see USC's first year in the Big Ten. They're going
Honestly,
like
it could be
5-6.
bad.
Like, they might
This-
not be able to handle
this year is like, this is not who Lincoln Riley recruited and everything. So this year gets like a whitewash.
No, it was
Next
by
year-
all means, it was a
was a good
successful
year.
year.
Yeah.
It's just fun because
lost to
USC
Utah
is really.
twice.
It just sucks that USC has found a way to just drop the ball in some big moments.
I
too
know,
many
like
times.
they could have been in this college football playoff.
Max
but
Duggan should have won the Heisman. Just saying.
Caleb
That's it,
Williams, man.
Aiden Hutchinson should have won.
Okay, see now you're just being stupid to get under my skin. Max Duggan had
I
a
said that
legitimate.
every
I
time
actually feel like
anyone's-
Max Duggan should have won, considering everything TCU accomplished over. But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get why they gave it to Caleb Williams. I'm just saying Max Duggan.
Silence your phone on the
Had a-
vibrate. The whole couch is vibrating.
Sorry
yeah,
about that. Sorry
jeez.
about that.
I had mine right next to me. I could barely feel it vibrate. That's why I took it out of my pocket.
Come
No,
on,
to
Bob.
me, again, bringing up the Heisman, I'll talk about it very quickly. They need to figure out what it is. Is it a quarterback award? Is it an MVP award? Is it a season award? Because if you look at it, you can put 3 different people up there for it. If it's a quarterback award, Stetson Bennett has a shot to win it because he was a great quarterback. He didn't do anything wrong to his team, but if you take him out and put the backup quarterback in, they probably still win
A lot of
just
games.
as many games as they do.
Yeah.
If you take Max Duggan off TCU, I bet that they don't win 5. They're probably under 500.
Yeah,
I felt like the Heisman was between Williams and Max Duggan.
Yeah,
I don't
it
really
really
think
was.
there
And
was
then you look
anyone
at
else.
Caleb
Who,
Williams,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, he's on a better team, better players. So it's like, where's that line? Like, just
I would have liked to see Max Duggan get
college
it.
football, I want a
But-
mathematical process of how you can be ranked in the top 25, and I want the Heisman to actually, what you're voting for.
Yeah.
Because if those 2 things came out, I'd probably stop watching NFL and I would really focus on college.
No, I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying Caleb Williams didn't.
No, he
Caleb
deserved
Williams
it.
didn't
He
deserve
was
I was just
great.
being. I was just.
No,
I'm just poking at you, Bob.
No,
I'm just
I get-
poking the
I get-
bear.
hey,
just
it's
poking
all
the
right.
bear.
Listen.
Listen, poking it, and poking
Listen,
it. I'm listening.
went through all the eras,
Yeah.
of USC. We had the terrible years.
Pete
with,
Carroll years.
Those were good years.
That Clay Thompson guy or whatever, Clay something, I don't know,
No,
whatever.
he plays basketball for the
Yeah,
Washington
it's
State.
Bro,
Clay something.
how you gonna say I went through all the eras? I think it was Clay Helton.
Yeah, Clay Helton. Yeah, he sucked.
close
All
to
right,
Thompson.
we had.
It doesn't even start with a K. It's a C.
I just knew it was Clay. Yeah, but I had to suffer through him. We've had terrible coaches and we've had good quarterbacks. Like we have.
Remember
we had
when
started out.
Ed Orgeron was the head coach there? No, you didn't.
Coach
I don't
O.
remember that.
I'm done putting you on the spot here, Bobby. We're gonna move. Let's move on there. You can't say you've been through all the eras and then not name the coach. That's tough.
He was only 1 year coach.
Ed
You
Orgeron.
kind of brought that up, and
He
like,
was the interim and then a 1-year head coach. So
Okay, yeah. See,
you kind of brought up USC and like coaches over there. I want to ask you a question before we start our
Yeah.
NFL talk. Is USC the worst quarterback school for quarterbacks to have success in college and then not do well in the NFL? Because Mark Sanchez, I know he gets a lot of flack for the butt fumble, but he might be one of the best in the past 7 or 8 that have come out.
yeah. He 100% is one of the best to come out of USC in terms of
I mean,
of NFL success.
Matt Leinart, a couple flash in the pan years, but really
No, your
not
most
much.
successful quarterback in the NFL from USC is Carson Palmer.
Yeah, Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer he's your most
But that was
successful
way
one.
before the rest of the. Well, I guess he was that much before.
No, he
Mark
was
Sanchez.
only a few years before Sanchez, and then
Well, yeah, because
Leinart after that.
Well, no, Leinart immediately took over after Carson Palmer. So
Did he?
Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart,
Then Sanchez.
then Sanchez.
Oh, you know what? No, you're right. You're right. Leinart
Yeah.
was before Sanchez.
yeah.
Um.
And
All right,
then
so Leinart.
Matt
until
Barkley.
Current. Leinart till current.
Yeah, but Matt
Because
Barkley.
Carson Palmer's an enigma. He's good. We
Yeah.
know that.
Matt Barkley unfortunately had his entire throwing shoulder shattered, and
Yeah.
that forever changed the trajectory of his
He also
career.
didn't play long enough. Like I'm not going to put Josh Rosen in. He didn't play enough.
Yeah, and he went
I'm
to
talking-
UCLA, but
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about guys who've actually like Mark Sanchez played a lot of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam
I-
Darnold
I think
didn't play enough years because he got
He's winning with the Panthers, man. All right.
just lost to the Bucks.
Well, I mean, that was. I mean,
he had the rolling touchdown. No,
yeah.
here's the issue. It's like, yeah, there's not a ton of quarterback success that has come from USC to the NFL. But in reality, how many is there a quarterback university? You know what I mean?
no.
Ohio
like-
State's another one that's close to me. I say they're
I would say
second worst.
Ohio State's worse than USC just because if Justin Fields might be the only guy to have had success, and it's too young to tell with him anyways.
Yeah, 'cause
I just
like,
don't like
those-
that all of the Ohio State ones that like had promise going into the NFL were all before the time of Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton, where they were having a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah,
Because,
but those guys also.
like Tyrod Taylor, not Tyrod Taylor. Gosh, I can't think of his name.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor.
There
Yep.
it is.
He got shoved at wide receiver right away, and it's like
No, he was a quarterback for 3 years in Oakland, and then he switched to wide
Yeah.
receiver.
Because
The difference with those guys is like Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, they can throw. Those guys straight up couldn't. Like it's like they're Tim Tebow. Like you could run your
can't hide.
you
Sorry,
can
that's
yeah.
what this-
No, but basically, but you can't hide your inability to throw the ball.
Yeah, no.
Whereas
you really
like
can't.
they played in an era where they didn't try to make you throw the ball as well. So maybe if there was more focus on developing their passing game, it's a different story. But because most of those guys just couldn't throw to begin with and were not accurate, they were so heavily reliant on their ability to run the ball. I don't think they were gonna they never really learned how to actually play quarterback.
I think that was the
but
biggest
there-
problem for those guys, is because it was like when you came to the NFL, like when Terrell Pryor came to the NFL, it was like, well, you run just as well as Cam Newton and Vince Young, so you should throw that well. But Vince
You
Young
just didn't have it in
just had a bomb
Yeah.
arm, and Cam Newton,
Yeah.
same thing. He could just power through
Unfortunately,
throws.
And
it's a
then-
shame Vince Young's career never
And
panned out either.
sadly, Dwayne Haskins, we never got to really see what he was.
Yeah,
able to
but he wasn't
amount
a dual threat quarterback.
to. No, he wasn't. He was a straight passer. That man.
Yeah, 'cause
But,
you had Cardell Jones, who got praised for going through the 2015 college football playoffs. Or college
They won it. Yeah, that's when they beat
So
Oregon.
Cardell Jones, Terrell Pryor, Braxton,
JT
Miller,
Barrett.
Braxton Miller, JT Barrett.
There's like
all kinds
these-
of dudes who just aren't in the NFL.
Yeah, like, but I say that's the thing with USC. Like, I just started listening to quarterbacks, and I'm just like, man, there's
Well, I don't.
So many.
They just get so much more attention than other schools because
Yeah.
of how big they are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's tough because
Like Josh Allen went to Wyoming. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
I-
it's so
quarterbacks.
Hard. Like,
I think it's just proven that quarterbacks really kind of just come from anywhere.
yeah.
yeah.
I've honestly been the kind of guy who thinks that if you get a quarterback from a smaller program that's had to really like battle it through games, i.e., Wyoming, Texas Tech for Pat Mahomes, like those are teams that are typically like up against it in their matchups and everything. Like they actually have to play quarterback, whereas you get to be like, Alabama's quarterback. This isn't a knock on Bryce Young, but like in a position, well, let's say Stetson Bennett, for example, you get to be in a system where like you don't have to be like a star quarterback. You just have to not make mistakes. You're gonna
get a great
sometimes those guys don't work, but
a lot of the times with those schools too, like I feel like Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama, they have wide receivers that make the quarterback look good.
Right.
Same thing with like Clemson, like Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson kind of made Hunter Renfrow like kind of rise up.
Mm-hmm.
But like Patrick Mahomes made some of those Texas Tech guys look like stars when they weren't. Where it's like,
yeah, that's the difference. Like
you're Bryce Young, yes, you're still good, but
I just don't think there's a quarterback university when it comes to college. Like there's colleges that are known for wide receivers.
Besides U of I.
Well, I mean, BYU is
Tommy
probably
DeVito.
like you got Zach Wilson. That's pretty much it. And Taysom Hill.
What are you saying?
What are you talking? Like I'm talking about colleges that like regularly produce quarterback talent to the NFL.
Yeah, I was saying, but like they are probably the worst at it.
Right,
as it sits right now, because their two biggest names, Zach Wilson, who's a buzz, and then Taysom Hill, who
yes
is a Swiss Army knife.
I think you may have slightly misinterpreted what Nick was getting at. Like colleges that have stars in college that fail in the NFL.
Yeah.
Taysom. Zach Wilson's the only one to ever be a star outside of Jim McMahon and Steve Young.
Yeah.
So that they don't count. They're not in this conversation.
Yeah.
They're not in the same room as Ohio State, USC, etc.
Yeah,
but we're getting off.
Probably get to the team that's had the most success at quarterback, Clemson in college, and now Trevor Lawrence, T-Law, just throwing dimes out there. He shut up the Texans. Texans were riding on high on that streak. Andrew was thinking the Bears were going to have the first overall pick. And then Trevor Lawrence is like, just watch me drop this 30 bomb.
It could still happen. Bears could still have that.
Well, yeah, but it's not happening
It didn't happen last week, though. That's for sure.
Didn't. Texans play the Colts. So
yeah, so
if they're going to beat any team.
Well, Sam Allinger should be the starter, I think they said.
Who even knows? Who cares?
I wish they were starting Nick Foles, man.
Nick Foles, yeah. So do I. Because
that would just be
Nick Foles can't win if he's not in Philadelphia. It's just that simple. But yeah, so like some key matchups for Week 18 of the NFL here. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Basically, winner wins the division and pretty much makes the playoffs.
Yep.
Jacksonville can make the playoffs, but I believe they need New England to lose, Pittsburgh to lose, Miami to lose, and something else in there maybe.
Oh yeah, if they lose,
if they don't win, so they can still make it. But this is pretty much winning in playoff scenario because you can't really hope for three different teams to lose, which could happen. But
very much.
Yeah, but if you're in the possibility to win and you're in, you're doing. That's what you're hoping.
That's
for.
your focus is winning in. And it's looking good for them. Tennessee is going to start Joshua Dobbs again, who was signed the week before. They're like literally the week.
I will have to say Dobbs looks so much better than Malik Willis.
Yeah, because Malik Willis, like I said I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, because of the lack of quarterback talent in his draft, he was hyped up to be better than he actually is.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs, good for him. You're getting your opportunity because there was a point where people in Pittsburgh were excited about him.
Yeah.
They thought he could be a late round steal for Pittsburgh to replace Big Ben when he retired.
He's a rocket scientist, man.
Is he?
Yeah, that's what he went to school for.
Speak up, Bob.
That's what he went to school for. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Where did you go to school?
Tennessee.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a volunteer. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Bobby, you have this tendency to like get quieter when you're the only one talking. Are you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
We should
especially when you're like, here's your rocket science.
Yeah,
he's a rocket scientist.
We should dissect this. We should do a psychology thing for you.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. We're gonna go into this. You're gonna do all the talking next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, in between a week, like when there's like college football's ending, basketball's the only
We're just gonna
go into the
psychoanalyze
psychology
you.
of Bobby's brain.
Yeah, we're gonna see why you get so quiet. Are you insecure about something?
No.
okay, I'm done.
But yeah, I learned that when I was watching Thursday Night Football, right?
Yeah, you went to Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, no, I learned that he was a rocket scientist. That's what he made. He had 4.0.
So he's a smart man.
Yeah,
That's cool for him.
That's impressive.
Well, hey, this is your opportunity to show what you can do. but you've been there for so short period of time,
Yeah.
and you have very little weapons in terms of wide receivers.
Hey, you got Derrick Henry. It's pretty much handed to him. He's smart enough to know that's probably what's going to get us the win.
Yeah, so but that's the big matchup for that division there. I thought this one was going to get flexed to Sunday Night Football, but instead they're actually flexing the Detroit Green Bay game.
It's a better flex in my opinion.
Yeah, I think just because you have both starting quarterbacks, I think you
Yeah.
don't want to run the risk of Josh Dobbs' second week with the team or third week with the team, whatever, and you can possibly get a blowout because of that.
Well, I think you're also Detroit might end the streak of not being in the playoffs for so long. I think that's more impressive than
And they have more of a fan base than Jacksonville, and
yeah.
maybe not Tennessee, but definitely more than
It might be the
Jacksonville.
Chicago Jaguars soon. We don't know.
That's not happening. But yeah, you just have bigger markets here for Green.
That's not happening.
just-
I know everything. I can't wait for them to move to Chicago, and then they're just gonna be like, I had my LeBron moment that they were gonna move to Chicago before
No,
anyone said.
I'll die on this hill. Jacksonville,
I
the
don't-
NFL, whatever team they put in Chicago, if the Bears leave Soldier Field, which they probably will, whatever team, if you put a second team in Chicago, they're not selling. I'm just saying, like Bears fans aren't going to leave the Bears just so they could be fans of Soldier Field.
I mean, yeah, but no one's a fan of Chargers in LA. Everyone's a Rams fan there.
Yeah,
And even then, they had to wait
This
a
is-
couple
so-
of years to be Rams fans for that long. Like
this.
it takes time.
Oh, but you're proving my point. There's no Chargers fans in LA. I'm saying there'd be
and they're
no
still there.
Jackson. Well, yeah, because they have to be. They signed the contract with the stadium and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if Jacksonville does that, because
My point is that they won't make a lot of money, which the Chargers don't make a lot of money.
yeah, but Jacksonville doesn't really care because he's going to move to Soldier Field, and then he's a U of I grad, and he owns
Talk
Fulham.
about Sean Kahn?
Yeah,
Really? I thought
Yeah.
he went to U of I?
yeah.
I always thought the dude was from Europe, just because I
No.
know he owns
He went to
Chelsea
U
or
of I.
whatever.
No, he owns
Well,
Fulham.
he's from Chicago.
Fulham FC.
Yeah, they play in the stadium. I know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just assumed, because I know he owns a soccer team in Europe, I just assumed he was from Europe.
Dan's pumped because he wants Jacksonville to move there because he'd want the Chicago Fire to play Fulham FC
That would be cool.
because Dan's a huge soccer guy. He really doesn't care about football. And so, yeah,
Yeah, well, I don't. I just
changed your mind now, aren't you?
no, I still don't think it'll happen. But
and he's loaded. so
but
he doesn't
that's your
care if he
Sunday
loses
night game.
money.
So the scenario there: Green Bay winning in Detroit. If they win, they need Seattle to lose
Yep.
to make the playoffs
So-
for that one.
And Seattle's playing Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams. So we're all.
Matt Stafford's cleared. He could play this one.
I don't think he's going to.
I don't think he will
Give me
either.
Baker. Give me a loss. to the
Yeah, give me
Rams.
Baker. Yeah, I'm taking Baker in that one. But yeah, so that's that matchup. Then we just said Rams, Seattle. I think that's in LA, or is it in Seattle?
It's in Seattle.
In Seattle. Okay,
Well,
so
man.
Seattle needs to win, and Detroit needs to win. If Green Bay wins, they hold the tiebreaker over Seattle, so it doesn't matter. If Seattle wins and Detroit wins, Seattle owns the tiebreaker over Detroit. They're in. Basically, no matter what, the whole world outside of Green Bay is Detroit fans. Basically.
Yeah. We do not want to see
Next
Packers.
matchup there is New England and at Buffalo. So New England winning in, that's their easy scenario. Just beat Buffalo, you're into the playoffs. Good for you. Their back in scenario is if Miami loses, Pittsburgh loses, and Jacksonville wins. Then New England is in if they lose to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So that's their scenarios, and then last one Steelers.
they
Steelers need to win
New England to lose and Dolphins to
and
lose.
Dolphins to lose, which is very possible.
It is.
Who are the Steelers playing? I forget.
Steelers are playing the Browns.
Browns.
That could happen.
It could definitely happen.
Regardless
And
of what happens, if they beat the Browns, Mike Tomlin another above 500 season.
another winning season.
Yeah, which
Man,
would
Which
be
is
cool.
really weird too now because
we really-
500 season.
Yeah, we were really writing off the Steelers for a while there
True.
too.
Yeah. Well,
Well-
I thought they were playing the Browns last week, so I thought for sure they were going to lose that game, but they're not. They're playing, or I thought they were playing the Bengals last week. They're playing
Gotcha.
the Browns, so I'm like, okay, that's more doable.
But
True.
like after watching the game Sunday night, I'm a believer in Pickett. He's just good.
I stand by. You need a couple years to know for certain, but he definitely has. I think he has the mental fortitude to succeed in the NFL. You need to see more development in just his overall passing ability. Flashes are great as a rookie and
Yeah.
second-year player, but in year 3, you have to have pieced it all together. So we'll see Kenny Pickett next year, what he does with a whole year extra and a whole season in the NFL and everything.
And he'll be getting the starting reps.
Yeah, he needs to get that next. He needs to take that next step. He's shown that he has what it takes. It's just now you have to do it consistently.
He is also one. I mean, you got Tomlin, who's a great coach. We've seen quarterbacks who are kind of a little bit more raw, have good coaches, and it kind of helps him. I think Josh Allen's a big thing. Comes out of Wyoming, goes, and Sean McDermott, I think, perfectly was the perfect coach for him in that situation. But also in Pittsburgh, you have Pat Fryermuth. This is a pretty good tight end. Not in that
George Pickens,
not in that upper
Deontay
echelon of
Johnson.
tight ends, but George Pickens, and then you got Deontay Johnson, and then you have Najee Harris. So it's like with Mike Tomlin, he's smart enough. He should be like, well, we have enough pieces to where it's like we're not going to rely on you to be the guy.
Yeah,
We're
get a
gonna
little
rely on
bit
this.
more stability at the O line, and you could be looking at a really good young offense there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I think the biggest
really
thing I'm
need to
looking to in
improve
week
the
18 that's not in the playoffs, both of these teams are already in, is Baltimore versus Cincinnati. Because with the game being canceled on Monday night, if Baltimore beats Cincinnati, then they get first place in the AFC North. If they lose to Cincinnati, but then Cincinnati loses to Buffalo whenever they play that game,
then
I think Baltimore still gets first place in that division. So like that's a weird one for me where it's like Cincinnati needs to beat Baltimore and then they can kind of control a little bit more of what happens.
Yeah, no, Cincinnati just by all accounts needs to win. I'm wondering when they're going to reschedule that game from Monday night because
I think we might have a week of just one
Oh,
game.
believe me, man. Pete's been blowing up my phone asking me what's going on with it.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you know?
do you
No,
have,
I
do you
have, I have no clue.
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't know what
Get tuned for that week when that's the only football game that we're watching. That's Bobby's episode of his psychological.
Yeah, that'll
talk.
be
We'll go
that'll
into
be the
Bobby,
breakdown right there.
It'll
Psych
be-
101
we'll talk
with
about,
Bobby.
We'll talk about Bills Bengals, and then we'll talk about Bobby for 40
Let's talk about
minutes.
Bobby for the rest of
And
it.
then we'll talk about what the Bears are going to do because the Bears for sure are not playing after this week.
No, they are not. But you know what? They are still in play for that first overall pick, baby. Texans, Colts. Colts are terrible. Texans beat the Colts. Bears are not starting Justin Fields. He's riding the pine. He's not playing.
I like that.
They're claiming a hip strain, which he did seem to have a hip issue in that game this past
because he
weekend.
kind of stopped
To
running.
me, not playing a guy, you can't get in problems for tanking for that game because Justin Fields is the franchise quarterback for the
Right.
Bears. He is going to be the Bears quarterback for the next 3 to 5 years, barring any kind of crazy he sucks in 3 years from now.
Mhm.
Well, I hope
So it's
for
like-
the rest of his career, but
He's already
Yeah.
gotten beaten up a couple times this year.
Rest
That-
him.
Even if he was
Secure
100%
that
healthy
loss.
and clear, they should be allowed to bench him because it's like, well, we're not going to put him up against the Vikings to just watch him get beaten up. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure the Vikings are playing all their starters because
They have to.
Because if they win and Philadelphia loses, they have the
Not anymore.
no.
The Viking, every team, so it's kind of sucks for the Vikings. Every team that has that's in that running for that number 1 seed. So Philly, Dallas, and San Francisco, they all hold the tiebreaker over the Vikings. So
they
the
would need-
Vikings lost to Green Bay this past weekend, pretty much locks in that they cannot get the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Hell, they might not even get the 2 or 3 at this rate.
The Cowboys are that close.
Cowboys only have 4 losses.
Yeah.
Cowboys. So this was another thing. If the Cowboys win and Philadelphia loses, the Cowboys win the division.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That we've been singing the Eagles' praises and everything. That's why the Eagles are rolling with Jalen Hurts this week. He's supposed to start, and you have to because
They get
you
that
can go from first overall or the number 1 seed all the way down to 2, 3. You won't go down to 4. The Vikings got that locked down.
Yeah.
Don't you
Vikings are
worry.
4.
Yeah, if everyone wins this weekend, the Vikings are 4 out of those 4.
It's so weird because I feel like for the past 3 weeks I've been seeing when they show the playoff graphic, they've always put the Eagles as in division clinched.
No, they're
Maybe
just
they're just
playoff
wrong. They were just
clinched.
wrong.
They just clinched their
Yeah,
well,
I know the 49ers have had their division clinched for forever because
Yeah.
they're in a
that one's a
dumpster
lock.
fire.
And the Vikings clinched the division a while ago. Yeah, no, if Philly loses and Dallas wins the division, which
Nice.
that would be heartbreaking for Eagles
That would
fans
really
Yeah.
suck.
to go to do what you did, and it would suck for Gardner Minshew who gave him 2 straight L's.
Yeah.
Though he had solid games.
But they almost beat the Cowboys with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, no,
And
they had solid games.
I don't remember who they played last week, but it was still a close game.
The Saints. Was it the
Yeah,
Saints?
20
Yeah.
to 14 they lost.
Yeah, the Eagles have just kind of slowed down at a bad time. Hopefully, it's just the Jalen Hurts being gone is what hurts.
Well, and the Saints defense. People
Yeah,
I feel
Saints
like,
defense is still
people
legit.
were like, well, you can't believe you didn't beat the Saints with our backup quarterback against a stud defense.
Yeah, but yeah, back on track with the Bears. They looked bad. Very discouraging to see that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I also, you're going to sit Justin Fields good. Don't risk him getting injured. Also, get that last loss out of the way. Lock in that number 2 overall pick.
Hopefully
Tennessee or Texas. I'm sorry. Hopefully Houston beats the Colts and you get the first overall pick, and then you could just trade.
You think Eberflus is calling Saturday? Hey, bud, you want to lose that game, or do you want to win that game, or no, win that game? Yeah.
No, they need to lose. They need to lose.
that game.
He's calling Saturday. Listen, man.
Hey,
I got the O-line coach lined up for you over here. You could just tank the hell out of. No,
gosh, now you say that, I would love for him to be the O-line coach of the Bears.
Yeah, he could probably be a good offensive. He's not a good head
That would
coach.
look so bad.
It
if
would
the
look
Colts
bad.
lose, and then
Just Saturday.
and then Quentin Nelson comes too. Like, I mean,
Oh, dude, I would shit my pants so
there's gotta be an
in a good way.
investigation.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? The tampering charge, then we'd lose the first overall pick that we
that
just
would
got.
be terrible.
I'm a big Houston fan this weekend as well.
Big Lovey fan.
Big Lovey fan. Let's go, Lovey. Do right. Do it. You got
Lovey
this.
and Brian Flores. What's not to like?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Brian Flores. I forget he's in Houston, right?
Yeah, defense coordinator.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, no. So the Bears are still in play. If they get the first overall pick, then I'm trying to trade for as much as any team will give me at that point. If you get the second overall pick, I just want to keep it. But if like a team is willing to give you something really big, like
If you're getting
let's
2 first-round picks this year, I think you do it.
yes,
Barring then you have to get an NFL star top 10 in his position, or else you're not doing
yeah,
it.
like I would only entertain it for
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. If you're only getting 1 first round pick this year, I would entertain
My
it.
only
If you're
problem
getting
is
2, I would only try and get DJ Moore.
If
I've said that before.
If
though.
Jared Stidham has another stud game, they're not going to trade Devontae Adams.
No, they probably aren't going to trade him to begin with.
Well,
Like,
they're going to do whatever.
Devontae Adams would need to force his way out. Basically,
Yeah, really, I mean, if Devontae Adams really wants gone, they'll trade.
If he takes the power away, it'll happen.
He won't play. Like,
I could just see them trading. They'll trade him to a team that can offer like a.
also,
Could you like Devontae Adams going to Miami for Jalen Waddle? Like I can see them trying to push that before they go to the Bears. Where the Bears
just so they can go get
receivers.
C.J. Stroud.
yeah, see, but like even there, like I would not want to trade Jalen Waddle.
No, I wouldn't want to either.
Yeah,
but
like,
I'm
no.
saying the Raiders at a certain point, if they're comfortable with Jared Stidham for another year, you're not going to get rid of Devontae Adams for no receivers. Like you're going to have to at least get.
No, they're not getting rid of. I don't think the Devontae Adams trade happens at all. If it does, and the Bears get Devontae Adams, I'd be kind of speechless. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
I would be taken back to say the least.
That would be the one weapon we needed.
Yeah.
We need a little
But
more help.
Otherwise,
Yeah, that would help a lot.
I would go back to focusing on my whole Carolina Panthers strategy to get DJ Moore.
Yeah.
That would be my strat there. That's
Yeah.
what I would shoot for. But anything could happen. Or if you get the first overall pick and Houston has second overall, they have second and 10. I don't know if you'd get second and 10 from Houston for the first overall pick, but you kind of have that power considering you have the first overall pick. If they want Bryce Young more than anything, you can go, okay, fine. We'll swap first and second. We'll give you this. You give us second and give us number 10. You pull that off, Ryan Poles. That would be some draft. That would be some draft day level stuff right there. If you only move back 1 pick and lock in.
Is there anyone on Houston that you would do like if they give you number 2, second round pick for this year and then a player? Is there anyone on? Like, would you take Brandon Cooks or is he a little bit too old?
I would take
for
Brandon
Fields?
Cooks.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks.
I would take Brandon Cooks if you get second overall. Yeah,
So you get
I'm not
second
taking
overall-
Brandon Cooks with the 10 with their later
No,
first
I'm
round
saying
pick.
so you get
Yeah.
second overall, you get a second round pick. You don't get two. You don't get 2 and 10 and Brandon Cooks. You get 2, a second round pick and Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, because you're at the end of the day. My whole point with that trade is like when you're making that trade, you're giving up your shot at Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr. But if you're only going from 1 to 2 and you're getting number 2 and you're getting Brandon Cooks and you still get Will Anderson Jr., yeah, of course.
And Brandon Cooks
At that
is
point,
good.
like because in my opinion, they're not taking Bryce Young. I want them to take Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter. So it's like you might as well just flip 50-50 there. If you still get one of those guys, then it's like you never even got the first overall pick to begin with.
Yeah.
So I would take that trade for Brandon Cooks and like a second round pick. and probably try to get another first round pick in the next year or something, because that's just how that market goes. But I would be cool with that. Otherwise, I'm only interested in trying to get 2 first round picks this year, or like a later, whatever, like 10 through whatever, and a bona fide star receiver.
Yeah.
If you're not getting those things, I'd stay put at number 2. But if they get first overall, anything's on the board. And we'll break that down when that's all finalized.
Next week, when we know for sure.
When we know for sure what the Bears draft spot is, then we can really, once we know what the top 10 is and that's all locked in, and we can really get into it. But otherwise, yeah, Bears disappointing week. I don't think there's really much else to say there.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say Luke Getsy's staying.
I don't think he's getting a head coach offering.
I feel like the Bears like just kind of flashed and showed the NFL what they could do with like legit talent for like a 4-week span, and then we're like, and just reel it back in here.
And
let
then it's
everyone
just
know
like-
that this team's closer than it looks, and we're going to continue to lose games and lock in that top
And
3
then
pick.
watching like this Sunday's game, it was like, yep, this is the Bears I'm used to.
Yeah,
Just
this is the Bears
absolute
I grew up
shit
on.
Show on offense.
I turned it off. I stopped watching.
Yeah, so did I. I turned it off. I went and played Rock Band.
I did too. I watched the Knives Out movie.
Oh, the Glass
Glass
Onion?
Onion?
It was really good.
It was a solid movie. I liked it. I watched it over, I think, Christmas weekend.
Yeah, you watched it right the day I watched it.
Yes.
But with different people.
Yes.
Did you think that was pineapple juice in the guy's glass?
No, I was not ready for it to be pineapple juice.
I
Dave
knew.
Bautista to die.
I called it. I called that was pineapple juice.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you also call that Donovan Mitchell was going to drop 71?
No, I didn't.
I woke up in the morning and I knew it.
I just knew Kobe was dropping.
Us watching that game when he had just hit 50 bomb and Bobby's like, that's a 50 burger. I was like, 71.
71.
71. That's the number.
That's the number. Nick, you want to hit us with your question of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to do one question of the week and then I have a question for Bobby that me, Andrew, and Mel have been talking about for probably a week.
Okay.
And like, it's not really a question. It's just, I just kind of want to hear your kind of thoughts
Sure.
on stuff or whatever. All right. So it's a competition between you two.
Oh, good.
So whoever lists the first answer right doesn't get a shot to redeem themselves with the next part of it, okay? So
Okay.
what city, hold on, there we go. What city has the most sports championships?
City?
Boston?
City.
Um,
Single city.
Wait, does New England count as part of Boston?
Yeah, that would be Boston.
I'm going to say Boston.
I'm going to go
Yeah, 'cause-
New York.
New York is number 1. Now, can you fill out the rest of the top 5 and then you can win? You can steal
Okay.
the question from Bobby.
So
In order. And yes, Boston is New
I have to
England.
do
'cause I
them.
s-
I have to do them in order.
Yeah, so number 1, New York.
Okay.
Now what's number 2?
It's not. So it's not Boston.
Well, it could be. Just Boston was not number 1.
Okay.
So New York's number 1. And now what do you think is number 2?
I'm going to say Boston.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, number 3.
Number 3.
See, this is where it gets really murky.
Give me for number 3. And this is across like the major 4 or 5.
Yes, this is MLB, NBA/ABA. Now NFL is weird. It's NFL, the AFL, and the AAFC.
Okay. Give me at number 3. I'm going to go with LA.
Correct.
Okay.
So now number 4.
Number 4.
You got to think about cities that have multiple teams in each sport,
Yeah.
but then also you got to like. I'm not
Do I
gonna
get
give
like
you-
a 1 wrong and I get to keep going?
That's
or-
up to Bobby. Bobby's your competitor. Does he get 1 miss? Does
Yeah,
he
you
one
can get
strike?
1 miss,
1
yeah.
strike. Okay.
Okay.
So it's like the last part of Family Feud. As soon as you get that 1X, you're done, and Bobby takes the points.
Okay.
So
I'm at number 4.
yeah, so New York, Boston, LA, and then what city is number 4?
I feel like it's not going to be a ton for these bottom 5. Give me Chicago.
That is correct.
Okay.
Wow, that's
LA has 33. Chicago has 32.
Oh my gosh, dude. No, so now I'm down to number 5. Is college football or anything in this?
College football.
No college sports, all professional.
No, none of these teams. College football is on this list, but the only city that actually has one is Baltimore. So it's not going to affect anything.
Okay. Then let me go number 5.
You get 2 guesses on this one.
San Francisco.
Damn, that's correct.
Wow. I would have said Pittsburgh.
San Francisco.
It was San
Bears.
Francisco. Heck yes. So I get the points. I steal these
Yeah,
then.
You got him. You beat him.
There you go.
So there's only one question. So like it was just either Bobby.
So I
wins or
win.
you win,
So
yeah.
did I just win?
Pittsburgh is 8, Bobby.
8? Oh, okay.
Oh man.
Detroit's number 6.
Detroit, I would have
Because when I looked this up, I was thinking New York.
Oh yeah, because the Pistons had a run back in the day.
I was always thinking New York would have been my first guess just because the Yankees have won so much. But then they also had the Brooklyn Dodgers for a long time. So like that helped. But then I started looking, I was like, well, yeah, Chicago was the original 6 in hockey. The Bears are one of the oldest I'm like, they're winning before the World Series, the Super Bowl, all that stuff was in there. So like that's, yeah, so that was tough. I'm surprised you got all 5 in a row.
Dude,
That was impressive.
Honestly, I was like, when you said Boston, I was like, yeah, I think you might be right on that. So I was like, well,
I thought the Celtics back in the day would have been enough to put them over the top. Plus the Patriots.
Yeah, the
but-
Patriots having.
Hey, it's
6.
cool. It's cool.
I
I'm. That was a good. That was fun. I like these. More of these.
I have other ones, but I'll be honest, work went a little bit longer today. I'm going to start doing like top 5 quarterbacks with yards that have not won Super Bowls and stuff like that. But I'll have multiple. I wanted multiple ones of this, but this is the only one I could look
Yeah,
up.
we've gone on for a while for this episode as well. So I think that's a great place to wrap it up there. As always, guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you like what you heard. If you did, please feel free to share it with some friends, family, anyone you know who likes listening to some sports talk. Like and follow on our social medias, and we will talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
See ya.